Hi. A grey Sunday, really grey Sunday. Um, Looking here at an album, very dark, uh, coloured cover, even without the shadow reflecting on the window as you can coming at the moment. But this is Death Cab for Cuties, 2005 album Plans, and so it's almost 20 years old. It's coming up 20 years old, which seems absolutely bonkers. It just feels like it came out like last year to me. I kind of came to Death Cab for Cutie's music, maybe a little bit different way than most people, if people like them. I came via the Postal Service. I first heard the Postal Service in about the time when this was released. It would have been in late 2005. And I got that album, Give Up, by them. And I was obsessed with that album for about half a year. And to the point that I associate it now whenever I hear it with that time in like 2005 through 2006. And it can be too much to listen to now. And not even because it has bad memories, it has actually overwhelmingly good memories. But sometimes it just thinking about the past too much can be, I've said before, overwhelming. And so, as much as I love that album, I don't listen to it a whole lot nowadays. But as I was saying, that's how I came to discover Death Cab for Cutie, because Ben Gibbard, the guy, or one of the guys behind the Postal Service, is also I guess, the lead man, the front man for Death Cab for Cutie, the vocalist. I think he's the main songwriter as well. And Death Cab for Cutie are a band that have been around since, I'm pretty sure, the late 90s. Um, and from about that time, 2006 onwards, I've followed their career and I've gone back and listened to a lot of their stuff. Yeah, 1997 is when they formed. And I'd say in general, they're a pretty good band. I wouldn't say great, but they're a good band with some great songs, interspersed with some good songs, interspersed with some okay songs. But this would probably be their fifth album. The one before this was Transatlanticism. The one after this was Narrow Stairs. But this perhaps is their most famous album, and maybe the one that performed the best commercially. It got to number 4 on the US Billboard charts. I downloaded this in 2006 and listened. Like I said, I was obsessed with the Postal Service album. Well, I became obsessed with this album as well. And 2006 was a period where I was living in Japan, and was when at the start of when I was living in Japan, and that this album really intertwines and is tangled with all my experiences and memories and what have you of my time of living in Japan, at least the beginning of it. Um, so I downloaded it, I had it on my iPod, and then I bought it secondhand 3 years ago, I'd say. This copy I think was about $6. You can see it's still got the sticker residue from me peeling off the price code, but also from the original owner. It had, sometimes they have that kind of, I don't know what you call it. They have like a sticker across the top connecting the back and the front. So you've got to kind of peel it off. You can see it's been peeled off across here. Other than that, it's in pretty good condition. It's not cracked or anything like that. The teeth of the jewel case are perfect. So for $6, an album that I really, really did love and still like a lot now. The booklet's in good condition. It's on this kind of glossy paper, which seems to have held up quite well. Um, What's that? A picture of kind of a building with lights on at night. Smell. You can't smell it, but I can smell it. I used to collect basketball cards. When there was a craze of NBA. I guess it coincided with Michael Jordan being in the NBA in the early to mid '90s, or at least there was here in New Zealand. I think this is probably worldwide. That kind of the NBA had a huge uptick through Michael Jordan's peak, and I guess the tail end of Magic Johnson's career as well, and Larry Bird's anyway, everyone collected basketball cards in the from about 93, 94, 95. Flair, Upper Deck. Those are the two brands. What were the other ones? I can't remember. The other two that I remember, Flair and Upper Deck. Tops. Anyway, they had the same gloss, didn't they? And that smell, I just smelt it then. I got a whiff of it. That reminds me of basketball cards. Sorry. But anyway, what has this album got on it? This album's got, you can't really see that, can you? Marching Bands of Manhattan. An interesting choice to start off an album. I see that song almost more as a album ender. It starts off. It's like a very quiet song. Starts off with kind of like a keyboard sound, and it's just him and his vocal and his acoustic guitar. Then it kind of builds up, and the band comes in gradually through it with drums and stuff. But it's at the very end of the song, it kind of picks up some energy and kind of has a crescendo to it. But it's not the kind of song you typically associate with the first track of an album. And saying that, it's a great song. I say they've got some great songs, some good songs. That's one of my favorite songs of theirs. It's got a particularly effective or affecting lyric. What is that? The one where he says, the last part, the kind of the coda. Sorrow drips into your heart through a pinhole, just like a faucet that leaks. There's comfort in the sound. This is from memory, by the way. But while you debate half empty or half full, it slowly rises, your love is going to drown, which he's taken there from the Greek poet Aeschylus, where he says, that famous quote of his, that sorrow falls drip by drip on our heart until we gain wisdom, or something like that. It's a much more broad and better quote, but I think that's what Ben Gibbard has taken influence from, or taken inspiration from there. Soul Beats Body. Soul Meets Body. Summer Skin. Those are kind of just your average Death Cab for Cutie songs. Different names for the same thing. I Will Follow You Into the Dark. Now that might be their most famous song. That's a very simple spa song, just Ben Gibbard with an acoustic guitar, talking about quite a morbid topic. He's basically saying to someone he loves that when they die, he'll follow them. Well, that's what it could be taken to mean. It could be taken to mean just, wait for me in heaven or something like that. But if you actually listen to it, it's pretty clearly, it sounds to me like he's saying, one day you'll die. It's not like talking about taking your own life or anything, which I think is, maybe there was some controversy around it, that some people thought it was maybe glorifying that kind of thing. But love of mine, someday you will die and I'll be close behind, or something like that. I'll follow you into the dark. So he's kind of saying that, don't worry, when you die, you won't be alone. I'll follow you. I'll come after you, and we can go together, which is at the same time darkly beautiful. That kind of, I guess, supreme love that you feel only a few times in your life. And I'm talking about romantic love here, in the sense of for another person in that way, not so much familial love, but where you have such a strong feeling of love that you would feel you would do that for someone, or you would want to do that for someone. Um, I guess it's, maybe more something you associate with youth, because as we age, the kind of those kinds of emotions are tempered by age. Are they? I don't know. Maybe they're not. Uh, Maybe, when you're a teenager, you're like your first serious girlfriend, your first serious relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And it's just the feelings are so intense. And it's, they say that young men of that age bracket, kind of 15 to 19, I guess, that one of the main causes of them taking their lives is the breakdown of those kinds of relationships, of the girlfriend leaving them, or because they just can't handle it. You can't. Your brain is like too. It's not developed enough at that age. I feel, or it certainly wasn't with me, to kind of to cope with all those kinds of things. You don't know what to do. I'm not saying everyone goes and wants to jump off a bridge, but I'm just saying that it can be an altogether entirely overwhelming thing, and you get these kinds of emotions that, like he's singing about there, like you feel so strongly that that's something you would actually consider. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I should get off this topic. It's talking myself into a corner. Your heart is an empty room. That's another nice song. Someday you will be loved. Not so hot on that song. Crooked Teeth. Now here, Crooked Teeth, it kind of takes a mood shift. Whereas the rest of some might say that the songs leading up to this have been a tad mopey. But I think Crooked Teeth is a nice, more light-hearted, but at the same time got some energy to it. Um, it's quite a catchy song, Crooked Teeth. That's a song that I really, really have a close associated memories with that song in a good way. No reason to have it as a bad way, but it's yeah. I'd say it's maybe my second favorite song on the album after Marching Bands in Manhattan. What Sarah said, then we got Brothers on a Hotel Bed. Now that, if we're talking about there about like young love, well, Brothers on a Hotel Bed, I think he's kind of exploring the idea of a dead relationship almost, where kind of heavy topics really. Where you say you're a bit older and you get into a relationship, a man or a woman, and it starts off with the very intense feelings, but naturally the only thing that can happen is that as time goes, those feelings kind of subside and they're replaced with more the feeling of comfort and security, that kind of love, as opposed to kind of that raw lust that you first feel. And some people are comfortable with that and they can deal with that and they accept that and they understand that that is the evolution and progression of love and relationships. It can't stay in that first stage forever. Burn yourself out, wouldn't you? But he's talking here about maybe the idea that in a relationship, after a few years, it can get to the point where you've lost all kind of romantic feeling for the other person, and now it feels like when you sleep in the same bed together, it's like brothers in a hotel bed. So it's calling back. So I'm sure everyone's experienced this. When you're a little kid, parents want to save money. I remember I had this when I was young. My dad took me and one of my older brothers on a holiday, and when we were in the hotel, me and my brother, I would have been 7, and my brother would have been, I guess, 9.5, shared a bed because instead of having like separate beds. So that's a kind of common thing, isn't it? Or top and tail, sometimes you do. But the idea is that not wanting to get into this topic at all, but obviously that's just, the most harmless, no feeling type concept of lying on a bed that you can get, isn't it? Well, he's associating that feeling, but this time putting it in the context of a relationship where this person is your girlfriend or your partner or your wife, and still you have this feeling of brothers on a hotel bed, which is not a good thing, I would say. Um, I just want to double check because I might be totally imagining that. So let's just look at the lyrics for Brothers from a Hotel Bed, because you may tire of me as our December sun is setting, because I'm not who I used to be. No longer easy on the eyes, but these wrinkles masterfully disguise the youthful boy below. So he's kind of there, yeah, harking back to his youth, saying, the December sun is setting on our relationship. You don't recognize anymore. I'm older than when we first started. Who turned your way and saw something he was not looking for, both a beginning and an end. Well, that's nice, isn't it? When he met her, he thought, that's all I want. She's the beginning and the end. I don't want another relationship after this. I want to be with her forever. But now he lives inside someone he does not recognize when he catches his reflection on accident. I'm trying to get to the part. Blah, blah, blah. Because now we say goodnight from our own separate sides, like brothers on a hotel bed. So, yeah, I think what I said there is correct. So, I think he's got a way with ideas and words being given. That's kind of an interesting subject to broach in the context of a song. And I'm sure other people have done it in different ways. You've lost that loving feeling. Is that the Righteous Brothers? Or I don't know. I'm sure there's been countless songs written about similar things, but yeah. But anyway, it's a good album, a very good album. Now I was looking on the reception it got from various publications at the time, and I saw it was generally uh, pretty pretty well regarded across the board. Um, and I always say that the one that I defer to when I look at a recap of the reception is All Music Guide, and I saw that All Music Guide gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It got 66 out of 100 on Metacritic, and Metacritic is the aggregate of all the criticism and ratings given for something. They take an average, and sometimes I think it can be a tad low, because if you get one publication that gives it a low score when everyone else is giving it a high to mid, it kind of drags it way down. So, for example, on this, NME only gave it 4 out of 10, which I really disagree. I'd say All Music 4.5 out of 5 might be a little bit high, but I would say a 4 out of 5, 3.5 to 4 out of 5 would be fair for this. And I could understand how someone who particularly loved this album could give it a 4.5 out of 5. 4 out of 5, The Irish Times. 3 out of 5, The Guardian. What did Rolling Stones, 3 out of 5. Pitchfork, 6.5 out of 10. So yeah. Um, so it's I do though. I recommend it if you like that kind of music. If you don't, I could imagine Ben Gibbard stuff could get on your wick. It could come off as a bit too introspective and quote unquote clever for some people. And I don't mean as in like they're too dumb to like it. I mean like some people might see him as a bit pretentious in his lyricism and a bit mopey, and yeah, they've done some. They've done lots of albums after this, and I think they've done some pretty great albums after this as well. The one that came directly after this, Narrow Stairs, I like that a lot. That's the one that starts off with "I Will Possess Your Heart." It's also got "Kath," which again is another good single talking about relationships. The idea of a woman married to someone who she doesn't really want to be married to, but she feels she was stuck and she had no choice. I like the way I like his approach to these kinds of everyday relationship experiences that anyone could relate to, but he says it in quite a clear but unique way. Anyway, yeah, that's it. If you made it to the end, Thank you for watching. I almost didn't make this video today. It's been a bit of the last 2 weeks have been a bit of a struggle for me, to be honest. But I told myself I'm gotta just make the video every day. At least I can get that done for the day. You know? And just hope that tomorrow maybe, it'll be a bit better. Feel a bit better. Thanks for watching, guys.